Hi, and welcome to episode 178 of Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Burgess, and joining me as always is Mr. Stephen Carter.
Hello, mate. How are we doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. We enjoyed the first one so much, we thought we'd come back for reboot number 2.
Yeah, I got to admit, this morning I was dying, so reboot number 2 very nearly happened. But I've mustered through, and obviously, we if we keep on it, we'll be okay. And there's so much stuff to talk about, and so much stuff came out after our last podcast. It was like, oh my god, we've just recorded this, and they've now dropped, the new console ish, and we were chatting on the group, and like Anthony turned around and said, yeah, it always happened that way. Even 6 years ago when we did the pod, we discuss everything, and the next morning someone would talk about something called drop something.
I know. It's like we've rebooted, and then it was literally like a day after, or the day like a couple of days after. It's like there's this news, and then there's this news, and it's like we've made a big song and dance about coming back, and it's like we're already outdated. Like we're literally already outdated by a matter of days. It's like, come on now. Come on, it's like they were taunting us. It's like literally like Xbox were taunting us. We like messaged Anthony and said, Are you like an insider here? Like, because you know what we've talked about and discussed, and you're already releasing more information before we've even launched as reboot. Like, come on, give us a chance. Let us at least get his feet under the desk again. Come on.
I think there's always been the alternate reality, Anthony, that is a game developer and works in the game industry like James does. So I think sometimes he just looks at like those jobs at Rare or those jobs at Playground or things like that, where he's just like, oh, what would the alternate reality be of Anthony Chesson, game developer?
Yeah, I think he's a mole. I think he's a mole. Like he was put on this earth to like spy on us all, but he secretly is a Microsoft ambassador or something. He must have a hand in it somewhere. He must do. It's too much of a coincidence.
He's probably still getting all the press releases that when he was doing the pod 6 years ago.
Just keeping all the juicy bits and like, no, I'm not telling him. I'm not telling him.
we find out that he started a podcast of his own in a few weeks. He's not going to come back on ours, but he started one of his own.
He's undercover somewhere, so I've got an alias.
Yeah. So what have you been playing in the last couple of weeks? So you were away last week, weren't you? So
yeah. So we went for a week up to Berwick upon Tweed. So we had a little caravan holiday up there. So needless to say, I didn't really play much up there. We were in a caravan, so we didn't have any internet or anything, so I didn't touch anything. But since then, slightly before and slightly afterwards, I've played a couple of games which will probably come on to Planet of Lana 2, which we've both been playing. But I really got an itch to play Kingdom Hearts again. And I want to sort of come out of the gate, and obviously last podcast I said about the Portal and obviously the ROG, things like that. I've been playing the Portal since we came back from holiday, and it's worked really well. Like, I want to say on record, after my criticism of it last time, since coming home, since buying Kingdom Hearts, sticking it in the PS5, playing it remotely on the Portal, it's worked absolutely seamlessly. Now, there's been a lot of updates for it, and I think Anthony we shared something about a Portal update, which I haven't done the most recent update. I think it came out yesterday, the 17th, as a record on the 18th. There's been another update for it, but I updated it quite extensively. So I've probably not touched it this year, I don't think, the Portal. I think it's been quite a while since I touched it. But I updated it. It's got a new UI, everything. It was quite new to me. I had to learn how to use it again. But since playing Kingdom Hearts on it, granted, I mean, it's one of the things I say, granted, Kingdom Hearts is not stressful, but because it's cloud-based, it doesn't really matter what you're playing, I guess. But we did upgrade our internet start of this year. So we've got slightly quicker internet, but we had maybe 300-400 meg before. We've got about 500 meg now, so it's not like we had a slow connection. But yeah, I've been playing Kingdom Hearts on it, on the Portal. And yeah, it's one of my all-time favourite series is Kingdom Hearts. I know it's one of them series that probably people would probably choose to skip, or they probably didn't have a great affinity to it like I did, but I kind of played it around, God, I want to think when it came out now. It was quite a while ago. It was PS2 gen, so it was quite a while ago. And I was listening to a podcast today, actually, and I think I said to Anna the other day, it wasn't a really popular game. It didn't sell many copies, but it was actually in the top 10 all-time selling PS2 games, which I was really shocked at. It came in at number 10, but I think it sold about 5.9 million copies on the PS2. So I was shocked how many copies it actually sold. It's showing its age. It really is. But as a mashup between Final Fantasy and Disney, it's almost like a game that sounds like it shouldn't work, but it really does. And I don't know what really got me into thinking I really want to play it again, but I just got the itch. I picked up a second-hand copy from CEX on the remake 1.5 and 2.5, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving being back. It's great. Like I say, it's showing its age with the controls and the camera and things. It's a bit janky, you know. It's got its quirks, but I'm absolutely loving being back. I don't know if you ever played it way back when.
No, no. To be honest, it's not one I've ever really played. I'll be honest with you, it's one of those games that's never. I suppose it has slightly intrigued me. It has sort of like, it has slightly made me. It's like the weird mashups, like you
Yeah.
say. That sort of intrigued me a little bit, but there's always been a reason that it's like I've not played it, or it's obviously a purchase one where I've not wanted to, drop the cash on it for something that I didn't like. I'm not sure if it's ever been on the the PlayStation Plus or Game Pass even a demo. But no, it's always intrigued me, but I've never jumped into it.
Yeah, I think Kingdom Hearts 3 was on Game Pass for a time. None of them are on it now. I don't know about PlayStation Plus, but I checked like the Game Pass and things for if it was on there, because I'm 99.9% sure Kingdom Hearts 3 was on there. But like I say, I think it's probably the time that I picked it up. I want to say maybe just almost like preteen, when it came out on PS2. I remember seeing it in one of the magazines, and like the preview, like when you used to flick through a magazine and see what's coming up, and like, oh, that looks pretty cool. Because like you've got like an Aladdin world, a Jungle Book world, Alice in Wonderland, Nightmare Before Christmas, which is one of my favourite ones, because Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my all-time favourite movies. But yeah, having sort of grown up on like Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 10, that sort of thing, and living in that world of that RPG sort of style game with a cartoon element thrown in with a Disney element as well. Yeah, I like I said, I don't even know what switched me on thinking I really want to play it again, but there was something that just switched and was like, I need to play this game again. I really, really need to.
I think there's a comfort sometimes, isn't there?
Yeah.
Sometimes you look in your, like, I look at the digital library on Xbox and PlayStation, and I'll go, oh, do you know, I haven't played that for ages. I might download it. And that may be a side scrolling sort of like Metroidvania type of game, or it might be a full on game. And thankfully for PlayStation Plus and Game Pass, I've found some little gems like, what was it? Spyro the Dragon. And it's like the Spyro games. I've not played the Spyro games in years, but I noticed it on Game Pass the other day, and I jumped in, and I'm like, do you know what? I don't even remember this. This is just like something easy that I could just jump in and out about. I'm not got to think about it. There's not a storyline I've got to think about. And I think sometimes it's those games that maybe are a bit nostalgic towards you, that you just think, do you know what, I'll jump back in, and then you remember how good it is. And of course, when you've got it on the Ally X or the PlayStation Portal, you could sit there. I mean, I've started using my Ally X a little bit more, especially with Planet Alana, because I've sort of like been using it a little bit in the morning when I've had like a bit of TV on in the background. I've picked it up and I've just played that to get me my reward points for playing a PC game. But we'll brush over that.
Yeah.
And then and I do find I'm using that a bit more since the last time we podded.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And after we did last record, I was like, I looked at the PS5 and I looked at the Portal, and I've got a PSP, and I was like, I could jack all these. And my local computer exchange had, is it the ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X? You've got the white one and the black one, and they had the white one in, not the black one. And I'm like, I could jack the PS5 in, I could jack the Portal in, the PSP, and I could probably buy it. I was like, I could jump all in on this. But then we said, oh, if you're going to do it, you're going to do the whole hog, you're going to go the black one. You're going to get the proper beefed up version. I'm like, no, we'll give it one more chance. We'll give the Portal a go, because, like you say, for me, it's like if Seb wakes up during the night or something, like just to have that, just to sit in bed with him, let him settle, play that while he's settling down, blah blah blah. It's just something easy to have and convenient, and it's worked seamlessly since I've redone it. And whether it's the updates, whether it's the software updates or what, or whether it's my slightly upgraded internet, I'm not sure. But since redoing it, I'm like, I love this thing again. Like I've fallen back in love with it, and it's just to sit on the sofa, sit in bed at my desk while I'm working between calls. If anyone's listening, just to have it there, just to think this is easy. This is what it
Yeah.
should be like. But yeah, like I say, I'm playing through one at the moment. I've got the 1.5 and 2.5 remakes. I've got 1 and 2 to play through again. So whether it, like you say, it's that comfort blanket of going back and retreading old ground, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's really, really nice to be in those worlds again, just to sort of like the music and the soundtrack is iconic. Like I can almost recall every world, like note for note of the soundtrack and everything. And do you know when you go back an old game and you almost remember like that's there, that's there, that's there. You know,
Yeah.
you always it's like, how do I remember this stuff? Like I know where there's a chest, I know what to do here, I know what to do there, and it's like, how of all the things in my brain I've remembered, is that still there? Like I've forgotten important stuff from last week.
It's that memory sort of reflex. It's almost like I say, you never even if you don't ride a bike for 5 or 6 years, you'll get back on a bike and you'll
Yeah.
ride a bike again. But I think it's the same, especially if it's like. I mean, I've not played, I've not played Assassin's Creed for about a year, and I jumped back into Shadows, I think, the other day. And it's just like, yeah, I remember how to play it. I remember where it is, and then I think they were putting some of the older games out. So I went back in and played a few of the older games. But, I think it's just that memory sort of like reflex that you just go back in it, especially if it's something that you've got a fondness to.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But I've been playing Fortnite first. Unfortunately, much to my, I mean, I've not really like at the weekend. I could have just sat there all day and played it, and I could really caned it. But I think I have got to the latter stage of the extensions to the battle pass. So I think I've got 3 skins for one of the characters to unlock, and I think as of just a minute ago, because I played it a little bit earlier. I had a couple of games to do my dailies, and I think I'm at a level 194.
Wow.
Yeah, I think, but I found with Fortnite that, especially when you're going for like level ups, that you don't, if you do your dailies, you get like, I don't know, 75,000 XP, and you can quite easily level up. Then after that, even if you play like a full game of like Reload or a full game of no build or OG, you're getting sort of like, I don't know, 20,000-30,000 XP. So you've really have got to grind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know what? I just don't want to, I don't really, it's more of a FOMO. I don't want to miss out on these skins. And now I'm so close to level 200. But as we record this, we are, a day away from the new season. So I've almost gone like, right, okay, I've done my dailies for today. That's probably the last dailies for this season, because I think the other one I think it kicks off at 2 p.m. UK time tomorrow. So it's like, right, I'm fine, I'm done. I really can't be bothered anymore. But no, I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I got my first, as you can see around me, I got my first victory in Reload the other day. And actually, I go back to what I said on the last pod. I quite enjoy Reload. It's just nuts. It's like, especially when you get some good players on there. Like, if I play at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you're playing against people in America playing. So, you're generally playing with some quite good players. And it's nuts. You're just like, bullets are flying everywhere. You'll go on like I think this one, I got like a 12 or 13 streak before someone sneaked up behind me and took me out. But for something that I can just jump into, play 20 minutes, play half an hour, have a bit of a giggle, I actually really, really enjoy it. And again, I echoed the comment I made the other pod, was like, you don't really need to stay in it and train and do all the stuff that you might have to do with, a Halo or a Call of Duty or a Battlefield. It's just quite easy. I mean, sometimes I've played and it has been like shooting fish in a tank.
Yeah.
Or, You know, it's all the kids have got up ready before they go to school, and you're now playing with someone that keeps on walking into a wall, and you're like, I'm just going to kill you.
Yeah. And I don't know if it does. I'll have to research this and see if it does. But I think to a certain extent as well, like if you're just getting back into it, if you haven't played for so long, it kind of puts you against those people, newbies, shall we say?
Yeah.
And then it levels you up, and it puts you in lobbies where there's more people that are more competent, shall we say, and then it mixes you with other platforms, it matches you with PC, so you got keyboard and mouse players, you know, it doesn't just say, right, your Xbox, all your Xbox players together, PlayStation, blah, 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 it mixes everybody in together. So I think if you're just new, it's sort of like, right, let's let you find the ropes. We'll stick you in against some people that might not know, you know, the newbies at the same time. So you're not getting nerfed as soon as you land, which can happen in some games. It happens to the best of us. You land, you die straight away. But yeah, I must admit I haven't played it for a while. But knowing that this new season, like say as we record today, the new season lands tomorrow. Tomorrow night when I finish work, I'll probably jump in, see what it's about, do the dailies, check in, see what the new season's about, and go from there and start afresh. Because I think with Fortnite, I think we touched on this last time a little bit, is that it really depends on what the hook or what the collaborations are in the season as to what gets you. Like for last season or this current season's record, like there was Back to the Future, and when that came out, I was on board. Like, love Back to the Future, one of my favourite movies, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, I was like, yeah, kind of, they were a bit of South Park and what have you, which I don't think I actually touched the South Park. So for as much as I really like South Park, I don't think I actually touched it. So I think it really depends on what the collabs are, which is one of the news articles we'll touch on later, you know, for this season and things. So I will always jump into a new season. I'll always start afresh. I've got obviously Fortnite crew through the battle through my Game Pass Ultimate, so I've probably got some tokens to spend on there for some skins unnecessarily for no reason.
What I quite liked, I mean, obviously, I think I said on the last pod, I jumped in because of Game Pass and because of The Simpsons, and then because of Game Pass, you got the new season, and what I quite liked about it was the sort of like, so you have the main season bit, and then you've got the sub season where they have the music and then the Lego,
yes.
and and what I thought was really good was that I completed one of the, I think they split the sub battle pass, let's call it, into like what you can earn up to, I think it was something like the 9th of January, and then what you could earn after it. And what I quite liked was I got all the way up to it, but I kept on earning. And then when it unlocked, it just unlocked all those levels. It remembered what XP I'd accrued and then unlocked all those for me as well. So it didn't sort of like, it not necessarily rewarded you, but not necessarily hindered you. But it was like, look, do you know what? You've created all these XP. We'll unlock those levels for you. And then when I logged in on Saturday, they were doing the last event thing, which was quite, weird, as in like it was about 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, is that it? But what was quite good was they had, they called it the Power Hour. So you were getting supercharged XP.
Yeah,
so I'm like, and I happened just to come into it with like 5 minutes gone. So I stayed on there for the extra. I mean, in the end, it was an hour because they were quite good. If you started a game before the hour was up, you were still basically getting XP over the hour. So that was quite good fun. But no, I mean, for me, it's just, I'm enjoying just jumping in, playing a few bits and pieces, doing my dailies, having a bit of a laugh in there. Still not jumped into duos or anything like that. But, for me, it's just something I could dip in and out of and then just play it as and when I want to play it.
Yeah, this is the beauty of it. It's one of them things that you can, like say, I need to do my dailies, or, whether it's morning, afternoon or night, you can just dip in half an hour to an hour. I've done my dailies, that's enough. We used to play it, like I said, during COVID, during lockdown. Me and Anna should probably jump in. We used to play on we tried to, so she played on the Xbox, I play on the Portal. Now the Portal seems to be more stable. We might try it again, so at least I can play on that and we can play a couple of duos games maybe. Because she likes playing it, but we'll have to jump on together as well and try a duos at some point, and just chat about it some more. Chat about the new season when it rolls in.
Yeah, I did, to close the Fortnite stuff out, I did go somewhere the other day where they had a 200-inch modular tile wall, and I did fire Fortnite up on it. and yeah, 200-inch screen that on a modular LED wall. That was an experience. You know, it was almost like if you've ever watched a movie in an IMAX and you spend the movie like moving from
To
left
move
to
the
right.
actual head.
Yeah, because the screen is so big. So it's like the character on the screen was bigger than me. So what else have you been playing? You've got High on Life 2. Have you been playing a little bit more of that?
Yeah, so I probably should have mentioned this the last pod actually. So this was something that's on Game Pass. So I played High on Life, the original, but that was on Game Pass as well. So inevitably I was going to play the sequel. It's just mental. Like, I don't know if you played the first one, you, but like,
Yeah, I loved
honestly,
it.
it's just crazy. Like, and I think Anna was watching me play it, and she watched me play something else, and I said it's one of them things that sometimes, like games that are crazy, as long as there's some sort of thread and all some sort of reasoning to it, it can get away with it. And if it's just crazy for being crazy, it can't get away with it. And for some reason, like High on Life seems to get away with it. Like, I must admit, High on Life 2, I didn't really follow the story as much as High on Life, the original. I played a lot of it. I think I played a lot remotely on the iPad, on cloud streaming. So I didn't really necessarily play or pay as much attention maybe to the story as I could. But yeah, it's just crazy. Like the guns that are like the one thing that I will say that I did pay attention to is like the jokes, the humor, how it's written. That seems to be really well done. Like it's very topical almost. It's quite on the pulse of like modern things for when it was developed and written. It's very self-deprecating in times. It takes a mick out of itself in terms of like modern society, that sort of thing. The one bugbear that I found with this one is like I really didn't get the skateboarding thing. Like I don't know if you've played High on Life 2, but
I'm not. I've seen the pictures of it, but I've not. Again, it's one of those things where just mentally, because I've been busy doing life and work, I've like, do you know what? I haven't got time to start this yet. And I knew Planet Alana 2 was coming along, and I'm like, I want to play that first. So, but I have watched a few bits and pieces, and I think I was chatting. We were chatting on the pod the other day, or on the group the other day, about I don't like watching videos of games that I want to play. Like, there's videos of Forza Horizon up at the moment. I'm not interested. I want to start up the game and experience the first 45 minutes myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially because you've got Game Pass, so it's on there as standard. So I've not gone in because I'm like, do you know what? I want to go in when I've got a few hours to get in there mentally. But the first one I absolutely loved. I think I can't remember if I 100%ed it or I got very, very close, and there might have been one like, as Sony would term it, one platinum that I couldn't unlock, and I was like, do you know what? I just haven't got the time to grind this one out.
Yeah, and I mean, I do usually check a review out of a game before I play it myself, and then I reserve judgment of the final review. So I've played it myself, and then when I actually played it, I'm like, I kind of dig what they're saying, like I kind of understand it. It's like it's almost like the skateboarding thing. I liken it to a little bit of like Sunset Overdrive when it came out on the Xbox. It's like this mechanic was really cool, and then they built a full game around it. Like every world, every place was built around this skateboarding thing, which is fine as long as the actual controls are really tight. There's no bugs and and it was quite buggy in some respects. The controls of the skateboarding wasn't the best it could be, and it's like if you're gonna build a game around that core concept, at least make it clean, make it tight, make it work. And like there was random like bits of buildings, that had this like slope up so you could skate up and down, and I eventually just stopped doing it because I'm like, I don't really like it. It's just a personal preference, I guess, but I didn't really sort of get on with it, so I just kind of left it a little bit. The weapons are great. The humor that's in it. There were some new weapons or some old returning favourites from the first game. Do they add a lot to it? It's hard to say. You end up finding, I did at least find myself like returning the same guns to use rather than sort of the final sort of sequence of the game. So I have completed it, which is rare for me. Sometimes I'll get through a game and then just end up ditching it, but this I actually saw through to the end. It was like the last sequence was almost like a final exam. Like, have you been paying attention? Because we're going to make you use every single gun and every single secondary ability. Like, you got to use this gun and do that. Then you can use that gun and do. It's like, it just felt like a chore. Like, it's like, let me play it a little bit how I want to play it. But there was a little bit, right, you've got to use this gun for that, and this gun for that. It's like I say, it was almost like a test of, have you been paying attention for these last 10, 15 hours? Because we're going to test you on it. But yeah, like there were some great references. There's some great worlds that, like I say, they're almost a bit of a riff on historical games, gaming development, blah blah blah. So yeah, it was a good game. I'd say I enjoyed playing it. Was it? It's one of them. Would you say it's better than the first one? It's probably more of the same of the first one with some different guns. I wouldn't say that it really changes anything or does anything better than the first one. There's some new things that make it fun and interesting as a sequel. Would you say you're missing out if you didn't play it? Maybe not, but if you played the first one as a second one, just to kind of a bit more of the same, definitely
Yeah.
play it.
I think sometimes it's that difficult second game. I
Yeah.
think that I'm trying to think of an example now, but there's many things in life generally where, I mean, there's some restaurants I've been to and I've had some, like a friend of mine, Owen, we helped build his cinema in Bristol. And next to his cinema is a phenomenal Vietnamese restaurant. And we had this Vietnamese dinner there one night. And I've got to say, it's probably one of the best meals I've ever eaten. And I want to go back there, but part of me doesn't want to go back there because I know that in my mind, I remember it being so good.
Yeah.
And part of me doesn't want to go back and doesn't want to play the second game because it's like, I'm just afraid that I'm going to have hyped it up so much in my brain. I mean, coming on to Planet Lana 2, I feel that way with Planet Lana 2. I feel that I enjoyed the first one really, really much. I loved it. And then when the second one landed, I was so looking forward to playing it. And I jumped into it. I think it was the weekend after we podded. So not last weekend, the weekend before. And I instantly remembered how much I loved it, but also how much I had to use epoxy guide to get around some of the challenges. And I have to admit, even on I want to say Saturday probably, I actually deleted it on Saturday because there was one bit I was trying to get past and I'm like, this is stupid. I cannot get past it. I don't want to look at the guide because not that I feel like I'm cheating, but I'm just like, it shouldn't. I suppose I termed it as frustratingly awesome. It's a brilliant game and I absolutely love it. But there was one bit, I think I'm about halfway. I'm sort of like, I'm in the water where I was having to use squids to hide where I'm swimming.
Yes.
And there's one bit where you sort of like, you go past two of these, I think they're whales or sharks, I can't remember, but you go past two of them and you go up to the top and I think Mui, you get him out and he sits at the top and then you take over the squid and you have to jump over, come back down. And I thought, well, hold on a second. If you put the squid ink above one of the little portals where you could breathe and extend your life underwater, it stays there. So I spent an hour trying to trap this bloody fish between two of these things, and it just wasn't working. And I'm like, this is stupid. And then I'm like, right. Bugger this. I'm gonna just delete it. So I just deleted it. It shouldn't be this much of a pain in the bum. But I'd played some levels before, which I really enjoyed, and I was, proud of myself that I'd completed it. Then later that day, I think I had the MacBook on my lap, and I'm like, I'm gonna go in the guide. So I went and had a look at the guide and I scrolled through and found it. And then it was like, okay, so they've taken the fish, they swum over, they've come down, they've put the ink there, they've then swum up, got Lana. Is that it? Oh my God, I was so overthinking what I had to do that I then found was like, I actually know the ink stays there until you ink again, and then the old ink disappears. And I just sat there and went, oh, for sake.
You idiot.
Yeah, and it was literally, and I'm doing one at the moment. I'm trying to think, I'm doing one at the moment, which was like, you've got I think they're called rollers, and you take the roller across and then up, and then you have to go over this thing, and then the idea is you set fire to it by yeah. And again, I was trying to do it, and I was trying to do it in a way which was like, well, I've obviously got to set fire to the flying thing, but I couldn't get it to shoot me and the flames to hit the the succession of the stuff I'd put down, the web, let's say, to hit it and kill it. And then I looked at the video about a few minutes afterwards. I'm like, actually, no, all you have to do is jump in from one to the other, go down. And I'm like, I'm just overcomplicating it. I'm overthinking the game. But I absolutely love the game. I love the art style. I love a game that it's a chilled out game. But I think if I was to sum it up, it would be frustratingly awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And I didn't play the first one, so I kind of come with it like this is brand new to me. I didn't play the first one because I must admit these sort of 2D side-scrolling sort of puzzle games, adventures, they're not really my jam. But this is the beauty of Game Pass, as we alluded to last time, is that you play these games that you necessarily wouldn't try before. And yeah, I'm much the same. Is that I always find with these games is that you can stare at something for so long, you come back with a fresh pair of eyes, and it's like, why don't I just do that? Like I should have just done that. And I was the same. Like I think we're pretty much of the same part way through actually, because I've got the first, which will I say spoilers, but not. But obviously, there's a story, but there's no text or there's no dialogue. You kind of make this up as you go along, and it's brother and sister, or sister and sister, brother and brother, and obviously you got the little cat, and your younger sibling gets ill, and you have to find some things to cure them. I'm on the second, which I think is the pearl in the shell.
Yes, that's it. Same here.
Yeah. So that's where I am. I've just started that and going through, and I'm doing the same as, like you say, get the fish and trapping the whales, or the fish, or the electrocuting things, whatever it is. And the bit before then, when you're in the mines underground, and I was like, it was the same things with the little fluffy things and the trails and setting fire. And I was like, oh, you idiot! I've got myself trapped. Like I'm gonna have to kill myself to get out of this now. And then I was like, it took me ages to. I was like, why don't I just go back to I just do this and I'm out. And it took me about 15 minutes before I figured it out. Like how? Like it's so frustrating, but it's frustratingly simple. Like it makes you, like you say, it makes you doubt yourself so much that like you won't realise that you're overcomplicating it so much, which is part of its charm. Really, is that it is fundamentally so simple. And that's the thing. It doesn't necessarily do anything, unique or different or anything. The puzzles aren't overly complex, but it makes you think that they are. Like it's like, just get over there. Like you're here, get there. And there's literally a small puzzle, but like there's these robots that you have to move with the mining and drilling. You have to move them and adjust them, and then you can take control of them and things. And it's like, it almost like gives you like different channels to think, right, we have to go here and you have to do that. It's like, nope, you just get from there to there, do that, and you're there. It's like you stare at it for so long. It's like, why didn't I just do that? Like, why did I not do that for the first point?
And what I love about it is the fact of that when on the 90% I've done without the guide because I've overthought that last 5 to 10% of them, I've completed it. Like again, down in the mines when you took over the hoverboard and you had to fly up and things like this, and you did it, and there was that that it was satisfaction. You're like, yeah, I managed to do that one. I really enjoyed that. And then so it just kept on feeding you. The only other criticism I would have is that it does seem to follow the same format of, you will complete a challenge, you will then maybe get a little bit of, a storyline where Lana bumps into a character. You then do a little bit of walking, a little bit of climbing. You might then do a little bit of sneaking around security stuff, but then you're on to another challenge. So it's almost like I'll do a challenge, I'll have 6 or 7 steps, then I'll get to another challenge. And then I know when I complete that challenge, I have 6 or 7 steps, and then I'll get to another challenge. So it's a little bit rinse and repeat. But again, I am enjoying it. Am I enjoying it as much as the first one? No, I don't think I am, because again, I think it's the same as High on Life. It's the same of any sequel. Sometimes I think when you experience something like that for the first time, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then when you get the second game, it is amazing, but because you've already experienced it, it's not so revolutionary as the first game.
Yeah, well, that's it. And like I said, because I've not played the first one, I don't know. I'm guessing these things aren't the same. I'm guessing that these these sort of mechanics and these different sort of puzzle, the solutions to the puzzles are different. But again, I think it's quite clever in some respects in terms of that, it says the dialogue and things, you just fill in the blanks. I think that's a clever mechanic, but I also think it's also probably its detriment that you don't have that connection, because you don't have the connection between the characters and the world and understanding what's going on. Like, in a different way to High on Life 2, I didn't really understand what was going on. You know, I kind of got the gist of Green Planet, you know, these people love the environment, love nature, and these people taking over it, industrializing it and mining it and, you know, maybe killing the planet. But because you didn't have the subtitle, you don't even have subtitles, you know, let alone having somebody physically talking, you were just like fill in the blank yourself, make your own story. I don't have that pull and that connection. You know, I don't have that, oh my God, what they're doing is killing the people, is killing the planet, da da da. You know, you've got to do this because you've got to save the environment, you've got to save them, and blah, blah, blah. Whilst I think it's a great edge, I think it's also a bit of a double edged sword. I think it's kind of a bit of its detriment that I think people will be lost because they don't have that pull, because not because they don't have the imagination to make their own story, but a lot of people want a hook, they want a connection, and because that isn't there, well, why do I care? You know, that's the why. Why do I care what's going on?
Well, Simon was going to come on this pod with us this week, and then ironically, I edited a podcast the other day with 3 people in it, and it was such a pain that I literally was with him yesterday, and I went, look, I tell you what, don't come on it because we're now doing our podcast via Riverside as well. We sort of split it up a little bit. So I said, look, you're going to be like me. You're going to be doing a podcast every Wednesday. I said, so one week it will be AV related, one week it will be gaming related. But because up until yesterday, he was coming on it, he hasn't got Game Pass Ultimate. He's got Game Pass Premium. So it wasn't included in that. Right. So he downloaded the demo and he said to me yesterday, he said, I enjoyed it, but it was frustrating in respects of that I had no idea what was going on, and then it took me a while to figure out what the hell was going on, and then I did it, and then I went on to the next one. But I think he felt the same as what I felt, or what we felt, which was like, it's a great game, and it's got great potential, especially if you've not played the first one. But it is like a bit rinse and repeat. But it's a beautiful game. I mean, the first one I would play. It's really, really good. But again, when I got to the end of it, it was a little bit challenging. And with this one, you've got a few new mechanics. Taking over the flying platform, that's new. The swimming a bit more is new. You know, the electrocuting sort of like whale stroke sharks and the jellyfish that Mui jumps on, they're new. But the spider type robots that sort of look down and kill you if you go too far, they're from the last one. But I think I'm right in thinking in this one, this one was the only one you can go up underneath them with Mui and you can electrocute them or shut them down for a few minutes with his special ability. But no, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I will carry on playing it because I have reinstalled it. So I will carry on playing it. But yeah, it's good. But again, I think frustratingly awesome is my sort of takeaway from it.
Yeah, and I think it is that it's almost that perfect game to play on the ROG or the ROG Ally X. You know, it's that pick up and play. Looks great on a small screen. Probably look great on a big screen as well. I've played mine mostly on the cloud because that's pretty much how I play my Xbox these days. But I imagine it'll look much better.
It looks amazing on the 77-inch OLED. I mean, the colours are beautiful, and yeah, it is stunning on a big screen. Yeah. But as I say, it's the perfect game for a handheld. So perfect game for a ROG, or perfect game for a PS. I'm not sure if it's on. I've got a feeling it's on Switch too. So it's the perfect sort of game for that handheld, especially like, you know, when you have to wear glasses and you can't play Fortnite because the characters are this big.
Yeah, you don't need to concentrate that much on it, do you really? So yeah, it does look good on. I would imagine it'll look great on a small screen anyway.
Awesome. So that's what we've been playing. So before we get onto the news, please can I ask you to go and rate us on Apple Podcasts if you're enjoying this podcast, or leave a comment on the YouTube channel about anything gaming, some feedback, you know, what you're enjoying. And surprise, surprise, Stephen, our first story is, drum roll, it's going to be about Fortnite.
It is, mate. Yeah, like we've already alluded to. You know,
sorry, Anthony.
Yeah, sorry. Big apologies from the get-go. But yeah, so obviously it's recording the 18th. The 19th is the tick over of the new chapter of the latest season from Fortnite. So yeah, so this one, I think I'm right in saying, I think I saw a news article, this is one of the longest chapters there's been, or is the longest chapter that's gone on, which I think started in November, December last year,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
So
the GameSpot article that you've put up, which I've just got up on the second screen, yeah, it's basically or is it the first season of Fortnite, chapter 7 is the game's longest in 6 years, but the end is finally in sight.
yeah, and the rollout of the new one got delayed by 2 weeks, which I'm guessing they're adding a bit of polish to. But yeah, this one's been going for quite a while now. So yeah, so we haven't got much information for this, and I must admit, I usually see some sort of leaks or some spoilers about the sort of the collabs that we get as part of the new season. I haven't seen too much on this one, but I think we mentioned earlier this one is rivals, so like you do get
Yeah.
the opposites of things. The foundation's back, which is played by Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. He's back, so we have seen a little bit in the trailers of the people that are frozen as part of the trailer, which Captain America was one, and other bits and pieces with the returning characters like Fish Stick, that sort of thing. They're in it. I haven't seen much about other collaboration. We've got rumours. I've seen loads and loads of rumours about, like, there's potentially Pokemon, there's potentially Kingdom Hearts, there's Harry Potter being thrown out there. There's all sorts of different things, and it's hard to, sometimes you have to pick out between, is it real, is it legit, but there's usually some pretty good leaks and some pretty good people that have got the finger on the pulse about what's coming. And again, I haven't really seen a map. I haven't seen a map for this one, which I usually have found. If you dig in sort of like Twitter or X or the internet, you can usually see a map that comes out earlier, or before the launch of the new season or chapter. But yeah, the things that we seem to have, the information that we've got a new refreshed loot pool. So we're going to get some new weapons, some new gadgets, some new items, new movement items, including one. It says that who your squad can use together. So I'm guessing that's some sort of travel mechanic or something, maybe that maybe you in duos or trios, squads,
I
whatever.
heard there's some type of zip line or something that you might be able to go from one side of the island to the other or something like that.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that might be something. It does say season 2 will dial up the Looney Tunes. That's one of the things that is definitely confirmed in there.
Yeah.
That we've seen.
That was out literally whilst I was waiting for you to jump on and you were doing your dad duties. There is a trailer out of the season, and yeah, right at the end of it, I think it is Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck are there, and I think is it Lola Bunny is there as well. But so that one is a definite one. But yeah, it's the Rock's back in it, and the sort of theme for it is sort of like rivals, showdowns. So you've got like the Rock's character up against the Ice King. Apparently, where the lodge is on the map. So like the secret base where a lot of the stuff's been going on, that's going to be the sort of like the headquarters to the foundation, and then where the lodge is, that's going to be an ice palace where apparently the Ice King is living or is, and there's going to be lots of battles there. But there is the whole the clip with Fish Stick and the squid, and I'm not sure how it's going to work because the trailer didn't really give it away because it was only about 2 minutes long, but it looks like within the game some characters are going to be rivals. So if you're playing as Fish Stick, then your rival is going to be the squid character whose name eludes me now, Squid Boy, funnily enough. And it did very much come up and say rival detected, and then when you take the rival out, maybe you get better XP or better weapons. I don't know, but it looks like it's going to be based. I mean, going back to what we were saying, the South Park one for me was absolutely terrible. I mean, for me, as a person that's not, let's just say, a Fortnite virgin, the South Park was just skins, and then the Cartman world basically. So the Simpsons one was brilliant, and I think this one's going to have a few big changes, but it's fundamentally based on the same map, and they're going to get rid of surfing, which I can't wait to get rid of. Today they're making you do surfing every single one is surfing, and it's just like, right, I've had enough of this now. I
Yeah.
want to get back in my bus.
I didn't mind it, but it did sort of pigeonhole where you could and couldn't go. You know, at least the bus, you could kind of, it's going to launch that way, but at least you could wait right till the end and go that end of the island. Whereas with the surfing, you were kind of a little bit limited in terms of where you could and couldn't go. But excuse me, I was just looking at the article actually as well. I didn't realise this, but the V Bucks is the change in the actual value, but the amount of V Bucks that you get is changing as well. So looking at this, it's cutting the amount of V Bucks, including the battle pass, from 1,500 to 800, which that's a massive reduction. And the amount that you receive each month from Fortnite crew from 1,000 to 800. So that's a little bit less of a reduction, but the amount that you get from the battle pass, that's like half. You know, that's almost half. You know, that to me is obviously get Fortnite crew now sort of quote unquote free as part of Game Pass. But that to me was the hook. You know, it's like, well, I've paid, because it went up to 1,000, didn't it, to get the battle pass. So now you're getting less than what you paid for it, which to me, that was always hook. Well, I've paid this. If I rinse the battle pass, I'm getting my money back and a little bit more. Whereas at least make it the same. You know, at least well, I'll pay 1,000. If I rinse it, I can get 1,000 back. Then the next one is at least free. That to me is just cynical. That at some point, someone somewhere is going to have to buy more. You know, they're going to have to put. That's what that screams to me, is that, well, eventually they'll have to dip their hands in the pocket.
I think that's it. I think it is the case of unless you like, if you're a Game Pass Ultimate and you know, like with me, I think what did I buy the other day? I bought I think it was Blade. I bought the Blade skin the other day, and of course I didn't. I bought it, but it was part of the V Bucks that I earned. But so yeah, I think that, like, well, I'll pay for it, or I'll then rinse it because I'm gonna, and then I then earn enough to pay for the next one. But obviously, from a company that makes so much money, it's still not good business sense to basically take money from someone, then almost give it back to them, and then the next month. Because I suppose at the end of the day, they're trying to get you in with the skins and the collaborations they make with, you know, Looney Tunes, some are, you know, I think on that article that you put up, it's saying Minecraft, Peak, Ben 10, Kingdom Hearts, Game of Thrones, Masters of the Universe. Obviously, they have to pay for that collaboration, I would assume, or give away some of the revenue. So yeah, it's annoying. For me, I'm not hugely bothered because I just play with the skins that I've got, and I'm not really I mean, I am looking at some of them going, no, I don't need a new pair of trainers. I'm gonna wear the Martin McFly Nikes. You can't beat the Martin McFly Nike trainers. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously some people are not going to like it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in season 2. But yeah, I'll jump into it tomorrow night and see what it's like. And yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it because, you say, the battle pass has gone on quite long, this one, and you know, and I now am looking forward to some changes as a different scenery.
Yeah, definitely. And I've just looked, this one is due to end shorter than the last one as well, subject to any delays that come down the line. But this one is meant to be a shorter chapter for this season. So yeah, we'll see what the next one brings. But yeah, like I say, just a bit of a refresh, even if it's the same map that hasn't changed a lot. The new collabs, the new universes, you know, the new characters and skins, that sort of thing, they can make a big difference to fundamentally what is the same map, really.
I have been playing. There have been some of the new guns that have come into it, which are really good. I mean, there's one of them, I'm not sure what it's called, but there's one of them that I just, for some reason, I could just kill anybody when I've got it, and I absolutely love it. But then there's some, like, there's the rocket launcher, which you know, if you're standing on top of one of the mountains and you're looking down and there's two people fighting and they're like close to each other jumping like some of the people do, you can just take both of them out. But that apparently is taken over from the ray gun type of thing, which I quite enjoyed, that ray gun thing. I quite enjoyed going into the secret canyon, trying to, I don't know if you ever, when you went into the secret canyon, there's obviously you got the triangular building. Then if you go all the way downstairs, there's always a couple of mythic crates behind a door that opens. And there was always some games there was a bit of a race for like 6 or 7 people will all be trying to get down there at the same time. So that was quite funny. So no, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it is a bit annoying that they've sort of like nerfed the V-Bucks, but hey, businesses are businesses at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's it. Like you say, the licenses and things aren't going to come cheap, are they? You know, we want you in our game. Well, you're going to have to pay us then, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? So I do get it. I do get it.
So story number 2 is with me. I've changed the title ever so slightly. I put whatever PS6 and Project Helix is, I just hope it's a games console. So this was an article, let me just drag the screen down. This was an article on IGN, which basically was going along the lines of maybe the resurgence of the fact of it looks as if we're going to go back to games consoles. There's a bit of a glimmer and a hope in respects that Sony recently pulled back from releasing future PC ports, with Ghost of Yotai no longer slated for a Steam release, and with the unceremonial exit of Sarah Bond from Xbox, the long known to be the architect of "This Is an Xbox," which we'll get onto, campaign that may be considered the final nail in the coffin of Microsoft's 20-year attempt to break Sony's dominance to second place. Obviously, since we did the last podcast, Asher came out and basically said, "Hey, look at this nice new Project Helix console that we're working on," and it was confirmed to be an Xbox with a PC back. I mean, obviously, an Xbox is a PC and an Xbox is Windows. I just hope that, yes, we could play Xbox games on it. Yes, we could play Steam games, hopefully. There are some PlayStation games that I've got on Steam, which I want to go back and play, like Spider-Man and Miles Morales and things like that. I just hope, for God's sake, that they don't go down the route of the ROG, which is you are very much presented with the fact every time you turn it on that this is a Windows machine, and it also happens to be an Xbox. Ash has come in and gone, we're Xbox, we're going to create an Xbox. The core is Xbox, it's Xbox gamers. And I do think, Phil said that, we lost the console war, back in the days of the Xbox One, when everybody was starting to buy their digital libraries. And I quite like the fact that PlayStation might not put things on PC, and I quite like the fact of this is going to be an Xbox console, and we go back to the being a console made for console gamers. I just hope, and to concur with a few people I heard, I think on like Kind of Funny, which was like, I just don't want to switch it on and anyway tell that I've got to update something, like a driver, or I've got to download a render pack, or I just want it to be an Xbox again. Turn it on. Well, not again. I want it to be my Xbox like I play now. Turn it on, play. Instant resume, go back, bang, I'm there. I've got 10 minutes. I could play half a level of Planet Lana and then go on YouTube and find out how to complete it. But, it's not getting me to do things I don't want it to do.
No, and that's always been the pull for a console. I dabbled very briefly in PC, but the reason I didn't was because I play a console because it's my console. I switch it on, I play my game. That's it. I don't need to upgrade anything. Like you said, I don't need new drivers. I don't need new updates. I don't need render pack. I don't need a mod pack or anything like that. Which I know, again, sort of Xbox has dabbled with. You can get mods and things. I don't want to do. If I wanted to do that, I would have a PC. I get a console because it's convenient for me and my lifestyle. It's a box that sits under my telly. I play my games, and that's enough for me. It doesn't look the best. It doesn't play the best, because I know that if I spend 3-4 grand on a PC, it'll look much better. But I don't have that money, so that's why I buy a console. I accept that, yes, it will probably look, I say worse. It won't look as good. It won't play as good, but it's enough for what I need it to do. And that's the thing that, like you say, the Xbox lost this generation, is because it's an all-in-one machine. It'll do TV, it'll do this, it'll do da-da-da-da. I'm not buying an Xbox to watch TV on it. I'm not doing it to stream on it. Da-da-da. It's great that it can do that. Is that its primary function? No. I want it to be as good as it can be, as powerful as it can be, as convenient as it can be to play my games for me. Like you say, the is it resume, the pause, that sort of thing, great. All that, I can just quickly dip in and out, da-da-da. That's what I want it to do. Same for the PlayStation. If I play something on the Portal, I can switch it on, it switches my PS5 on, it remembers where I am, great, that's what I want. I can watch Sky on it, I can watch TV on it, but I've got a TV to do that. it can do that, which is great. That's a secondary function, and it should be 5%, if not less than, of what the console can do. Everything else should be pure and simple. Is it the best gaming machine it can be? Yes, it is. And arguably, Xbox in this life cycle, that hasn't been the focus. The agenda hasn't been make it the best it can be. And I was listening to, is it Xbox Unlocked
Yeah.
podcast? I listened to that after Anthony sent us the link. And there were some good points on that in terms of, obviously, we're returning to Xbox. We are returning back to what Xbox is and was. And like you say, Xbox is always going to be part PC because it's Windows. There's always going to be that background. But I don't want it to be, this is a games console, but it's also a PC. Like, it's powered by PC parts, software, whatever. Great, fine, because that's fundamentally what Windows is. But it should still be a console at heart. It's a games console that sits under your TV, and games are the number one thing that drives this machine. It's
I think for me, so if you go back to the Xbox One, I don't think I don't think Microsoft were wrong. I think in a way they should have been more Apple. They should have been like, Steve Jobs was always one of these people was like, we'll make something that you didn't realize that you needed. That was always how Apple were under Jobs. And I think if you look at the Xbox One, it was a games console, and it was an Xbox. And it had Netflix, and it had YouTube, and actually, it is what we use now. I mean, the amount of times I log on to do my dailies, and some of my Xbox friends they're watching YouTube or they're watching iPlayer. Something, if they just sold the Xbox One as this is a games console, but it can also do this. And hey, you might not want to do it yet, but we assure you. I mean, I can remember being on a podcast, 16 years ago, probably now. And I remember saying to them, I just feel that one day we're going to get to a point where when we want to watch something on, TV in commas, we're going to go to the app. We want to watch Disney, we go to the Disney app. We want to watch this, we go to this app. And that's exactly where we are now. We pay multiple subscriptions to multiple services. And actually, the one console or the one box under your TV that is your games console, as well as your access to Netflix and YouTube, I don't think they were wrong. But unfortunately, I find it with Microsoft that they're almost Google, where they will quickly backtrack on something or kill something if they think they've made a mistake, rather than going, no, you don't get it. You might not think you want it yet, but trust me, you want this. And I think if they stuck behind it, I potentially feel we could be in a very different place now. Apart from this, I want this to be a console. I want to be able to access Steam. I want to be able to access Epic, but I want that to be, I download an app on my phone, and that gives me access to Netflix. I want it to be an app that I download from the store on Xbox that allows me to access Steam, not, open up a secondary screen, which is a Windows login, which you download a client, and then you can access it by double pressing this, and it brings a window up where you can flick between each one. But first of all, you've got to go into Windows and do it. That, I think, is a nail in the coffin for the console if that happens.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily mind if it was almost like the console was, your console, you stick your disc in, or download it, whatever. I don't mind if it was almost a hub, like you're saying, you've got an EA hub, you've got a Ubisoft hub, or, that sort of thing. As long as it is still fundamentally, this is the console and you can access your EA games here and your Ubisoft games here, which kind of Game Pass is almost that, I guess, and it's a little bit like that. But yeah, if it's, because I think this is one of the criticism that people said about the ROG, isn't it, is that yes, it's an Xbox handheld, but it's almost like it's a PC handheld first, and the Xbox is almost tacked onto it. It's not like this is primarily, you open it up and it's the Xbox UI. It's not that. It's almost like a computer. Then you have to go into the Xbox and It's like, well, if it's an Xbox handheld, the first thing that loads up should be Xbox. It should be Xbox UI interface, something you're familiar with, and then if you want to go outside of that, you can. But, well, it's really an Xbox, so we recommend you do this, So it's hard, isn't it? It depends on where you see the future. It depends on where do you see the future of gaming. But I almost like you say, the Steve Jobs esque element of it is this is Xbox. If you want to play this game or you want to play these games, you buy an Xbox. You know, if you want to buy these games and play these games, well, you buy a PlayStation. You know, Nintendo, that's what Nintendo do. You know, Nintendo were, this is us, these are our consoles. Yes, the same games of the same, you know, Mario comes out and and Donkey Kong and blah, blah, blah. If you want to play them, come get them. They're here. You know, and they do
Buy
that
Animal
very
Crossing
well.
again, it just looks shinier on
Yeah.
Switch too, but you have to pay for the upgrade pack. Or yeah, no, I think that is it. I think it is. They have to stand by their brand, and you know, getting on to the next story. You know, out with the old and in with the new. This is Xbox campaign is ditched. I didn't really see anything wrong with the campaign, but I do get it from the point of view where it's like, fundamentally and foremost, we are a games console company. You know, Xbox is games console company. However, if you buy an LG TV or if you buy a Samsung TV and you connect a Bluetooth controller to it, then you can play these games, but you'll play them better on an Xbox and you'll get better graphics on an Xbox. So yeah, so that was your next story in respects of that they've now you know, Sarah Bond has left and they've now completely cancelled the one thing that she probably did.
Yeah, and like you say, I don't necessarily disagree with it either, you know, because for me, it's like I can play games on my iPad, I can play it on my laptop, I can play it on my Mac, I can play it on my phone, you know, that is great. You know, the things that Microsoft are doing behind the scenes to drive the cloud gaming, I think is great. You know, it's not the best place to play, but actually as a service and what they actually can do, it works. You know, and like I say, I can play seamlessly on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer, whatever, or, you know, my laptop, whatever it might be, streaming, and it works great. You know, I understand the logic behind it. You know, I understand the logic of you can play your Xbox games on here, but surely as Microsoft, you want to sell consoles. You know, that's notoriously, we know that Microsoft or the Xbox division of Microsoft doesn't make much money and they want to sell units. Well, by telling people they can play games on their iPad, their laptop, their phone, that's not going to sell units. You know, that's not going to sell consoles. It's a convenience, like you say, but that's not the. If you want to play games, buy this, get this console. You need that. That's what they need to get back to. Is that if you want to play this, you need this console in your life. You have to buy this console.
I think that it might have been better down the route of, you know, buy the console, get the best experience, take the game with you with the ROG Ally X, or, you know, the Xbox branded, maybe the Series X Mark II will be this, you know, Project Helix, and the Series S Mark II may be the handheld version. So it will be like, play it at home on the console, take it away on the Ally. But if you forget your Ally, or you're away from home, hell yeah, dip in and resume on your iPhone or your iPad. But yeah, it's funny. I don't know. It's funny from a business point of view. You know, play it where you want, buy the games where you want, or subscribe to Game Pass where you want. But from if they want to keep the Xbox platform going, I hate to say it, they need to be more Sony. They really do. Otherwise, I think, especially, I mean, we touched on in the last episode, especially with so many people now, especially if these consoles, you know, the PS6 as well, especially if these consoles come out at anything from $600 to $1,000, you know, that is the people that can afford it. You know, that is, you know, the people like me who can put it through the business as a business expense because it's in the showroom, you know, or like, you know, Anthony, who will quite happily go out and buy it because him and Nicola do game quite a bit together.
Yeah.
But it's people out there who are going PC based. They're not going to buy an Xbox and they're going to stay on a PC. It's I can see where it is from Microsoft and Sony. It's difficult. It's a difficult time to, you know, with that gaming market fragmenting so much.
Yeah, of course it is, and like you say, it's hard to see where the next, you know, what's the next thing, you know, where's the next, you know, innovation, where's the next pull, you know. But for me, I've always tried to have both. You know, I've tried to have an Xbox and a PlayStation. As it stands right now, like you say, for that price especially, you know, if it's anywhere near £1,000 or, you know, $1,000, whatever, I'd have to probably jack both consoles in right now to fund partially the cost of buying the next console. I couldn't afford two consoles at £1,000 or $1,000 each. No way. And most people will be the same. So to really, really, really get people to nail their flag to the mast, I am diehard Xbox, I'm diehard PlayStation, and not regret it. You have to make it worth a while. They can't afford to do another launch like the Xbox One. They can. And what that is, who's to
Unless
say?
they've got a clear roadmap. I think if they've got a clear roadmap, then I think that it's not like bear with us, we'll get there. But if they've got a clear roadmap to say, this is what we perceive as being, we've spoken to Copilot, and Copilot tells us that gaming is going to be this in 10 years. No, I think it's one of those things where if they're clear and they stick to their campaign and what they believe, I mean, there is part of me that would go, yeah, I'd spend £1,000 on this console if I could get onto Steam and if I could play PlayStation games. But I don't think that's going to happen. And maybe people would say the same with PlayStation. I'll spend £1,000 or $1,000 on a PS6 if I could get Indiana Jones, if I could get Halo, if I could get Forza Horizon. But then they're not going to buy an Xbox. But then, as you say, most people are not going to be able to drop $2,000 or £2,000 on two games consoles for something that they're going to play at the weekend or in the evening. They're going to go and buy a HP Omen gaming laptop, or they're going to buy, maybe buy an ROG Ally X and get it on a monitor so they can play it. Yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. I still think, then they say dev kits are coming out next year, apparently.
Yeah, start 27.
I still think we're going to see it Holiday 27. That's my money. I'll put a pizza bet on Holiday 27. That's when we're going to see it, I think.
Yeah, well, and there's always there has to be that sort of almost who's going to get the jump on who, who shows their hand first. Would we see another Switch? I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's definitely going to be between the two. It's going to be Xbox or PlayStation. Who comes out of the gate first? We are launching, like you say, holiday, whatever, because it's going to be Christmas, isn't it? It always is. It's always going to be Christmas. So, is it going to be next year? Is it going to be following year? Will it push one to say, oh, they're doing 27, we need to do 27, or do they say, well, they're doing it, fine, but we'll do 28? It's hard to say, but we'll see. It's an interesting 12 months, that's for sure, for both parties, I think, for Sony and Xbox.
I mean, if they could do it in maybe Holiday 29 or Holiday 30, I might have the gaming points to be able to buy it then if it's going to be $1,000.
Until they've slashed them till they're worth nothing.
Well, I mean, I did look the other day because after our last podcast, I have turned the magical 700,000 barrier. And I think, to be honest, I think I'm on 705,000. So I did go on to the app or the website the other day and go, so how much is this worth? And at the moment, it is worth about 400 Great British pounds if you go for something like an Amazon or an Apple voucher. If I go with Microsoft, Microsoft or Xbox Shop, I think it is something like £569. It's probably about 570 odd pounds now. So it's taken me 6 years to get to 700,000. So if the console's going to be 1,000, then I need another 3 years delay so I can get up to 1 million points and be able to buy this outright. Otherwise, the thing I made, the promise I made to Anthony back in 2020 about buying the next console solely with points ain't going to happen.
No. You're gonna have to start a petition like, please hold off. Let me get there. Let me do it.
And then they've nerfed the points now.
Yeah.
So like your daily check-ins on Bing and that are getting half the amount of points. So
yeah, it's 6 years now.
Yeah, it's gonna take. I mean, as James said, they're my family. They're like my little children. I love seeing them there. But one day I will let them go. They can grow up and leave, and they will go on something new and shiny for me.
Yeah, you have to do it eventually.
Exactly. I'll have to rip the Band-Aid off. I mean, you put something up the other day about perks, and for a minute I looked at it and went, oh no, they're not. I mean, how am I going to claim 700,000 rewards this weekend before they ditch them?
Yeah.
But actually it was like the Game Pass exclusive demos and things like that they've nerfed and taken away. So I did panic for a minute. The next headline is on Game Pass. So Resident Evil 7 headlines Game Pass March second wave. Let me just bring my other screen down. So available today as of, this was written on March 17th on Xbox Wire. Available today was DreamWorks Gabby's Dollhouse. Coming today was South of Midnight on cloud, console, handheld and PC. Alters on cloud, Xbox Series S and X and PC. And then Disco Elysium on the 19th. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth on the 24th to console, handheld, PC, and cloud. Then we've got Nova Roma, which is a Roman Empire sort of like civilization type game, comes on March the 26th. The Long Dark is cloud, console, and PC on the 30th. Which is a exploratory survival experience that challenges solo players to think for themselves as they explore an expansive frozen wilderness. And then the big one is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard comes on the 31st, along with Barbie Horse Trials on the 2nd of April.
I thought that when you said it's the big one, I was expecting Barbie Horse Trials. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, also you could say Claire Obscure Exhibition 33 on the 2nd is obviously a big one, and then you've got Final Fantasy 4 coming on April the 7th, and then you've got some other games that are on there already. I mean, for me, two that I played previously that I really, 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 really enjoyed. South of Midnight was brilliant. I thought that was a phenomenal game. It was just, it was based in the Deep South. It was modern folk tales. It had some amazing music. Yeah, some of the gameplay was a little bit janky, but I completed that, really enjoyed it. Alters, that was a fantastic game. The guy, I can't remember his name now, apologies, but the guy that did the voices for all the characters. But you basically were in this, you crash landed on this planet, and you basically had to create versions of yourself, but as different people. So like as a scientist, or as a security agent, or, as a, I'm trying to think what the other ones were now, but, and then it was a brilliant, brilliant game. Have you played any of those on there, or is there anything that you're looking at going, oh, do you know what? I'm going to jump into that.
I don't think I've actually played any of them. I'll probably jump into Resi, just as a homage. I played the Resi games, years ago, and probably Final Fantasy 4 because I didn't really play the old Final Fantasies. But I think we discussed this, I touched on it last time, that it's great for games that you can go and hoover up and play that otherwise you probably haven't touched. It's almost those classic Xbox arcade games, isn't it? That, well, they're in it, so why won't I play it? And look at, listen to your recommendations there, South of Midnight and the Alters. I'll go check them out, because it sounds like games that I can just jump in and out of, play on the iPad, cloud stream them, cloud play them, and whilst they're there, just dip in. Because, and this is the thing, there's something for everyone in that package. You've got the kids game, the Barbie Horse Trials. You've got the Resi, you've got the horror, the RPG with Final Fantasy, the more arcadey games in Alters and South of Midnight. The shorter stints. So again, there is just something there for everyone to go at, which is what I think they do very, very well with their monthly releases.
And of course, you've got Claire Obscure, which literally wiped up at the majority of awards, the Game Awards and all of those awards. I mean, what was it? It was 2025 Game of the Year as well. But I mean, for me, I don't know. Final Fantasy's never really floated my boat. I don't know what it is. I'm just like, it just doesn't. And Resident Evil I've played, but it was funny. I was at a distributor yesterday and they were talking about Sinners, the film Sinners, that Michael B. Jordan just won the Oscar for. And my first words out of my mouth was, how horror is horror? And then whenever I think of Resident Evil, I always think of Anthony playing Resident Evil in PSVR. And how jump out loud scary it was, because you were playing Resident Evil fully immersed in PSVR 1, and it would scare the living bejeebers out of you. But for me, Alters was a little bit of a hard sell at the beginning, and there was a few bits and pieces I had to roll back the save because I didn't have accrued enough of this and enough of that. But I don't know, I suppose in the same way as Planet Lana, sometimes it was frustrating, but then when I got to the end and saw the story out, I was sad that it was over. And every stage it gives you the opportunity to go, are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? So, are you going to, this is going to happen. And I actually found myself going, okay, I'll do option A. And then I'll roll back and, not save scum, but I'd roll back and then do option B. And then I'd roll back and do option C. Because it got to the point at the end, I wanted to see how it ended on all, I think it was 2 or 3 ways you could end it. But again, as you said, Game Pass, and PlayStation Plus, it's great because it just makes you play those games or gives you the ability to play those games without, dropping a load of money on something that you think that you might. I mean, I played what was it? I played Like a Dragon. I mean, I played one of the Like a Dragons, and it really didn't float my boat. But because it was on Game Pass, it was like, okay, that's not for me. I know I'm not going to play it. And it had no vested interest in it from me because it was quote unquote free, included in your subscription.
Yeah, that's it. And whilst it's there, you can at least dabble, can't you? You've not spent whatever it is to get entry to it. So, like you say, you can dip in. It's not for me. You've tried it. Well, I've given it a fair crack. Then put it down. That's it. And when it's cloud game, you don't even have to install it. So that's the beauty, isn't it? That you can at least dabble, dip a toe, and well, it's for me. Great. If it's not, well, I'm on to the next thing anyway.
And then the last story, we'll get on to our One Sony section of the podcast. This is we're very Xbox heavy again. So apparently Sony are in trouble and gamers could be owned billions. I need to say that in an Austin Powers type. Could be owned billions.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I want to sort of preface the start with, I want to be sort of positive on Sony, because otherwise it seems like we're just digging and bagging on Sony and PlayStation. But yeah, this was something that I saw that, I think I actually saw this on Facebook initially. I wasn't actually really looking for it, and it just got to, oh, this looks interesting. But yeah, headline: PlayStation gamers could receive £2 billion pounds in compensation if lawsuit succeeds. Each. So basically, each, that's it. Just bankrupt Sony.
Quick, rush and buy a game, and you can get £2 billion back.
It's Xbox that's filing the claim, funnily enough. No, it's not. But it's So basically, the headline is that there's an allegation that PlayStation have basically broken competition law by controlling the amount they charge for their games on their PlayStation Store digitally, which notoriously it always has seemed that Sony charges more, or digital games via the PlayStation Network or the PSN are more expensive. Has always seemed that way. But yeah, there is consumer champion Alex Neil has been sort of raised the claim, and allegedly, if it's found to be successful, each person, gamer, whoever is applicable, could receive £162 in compensation. So yeah, it hinges on how the digital PlayStation Store is run, and exploiting customers by charging them too much for digital games and in-game content. So there is a claim that Sony is basically controlling how much they charge and can be charged for their content. And it allegedly, if it's to be believed, can affect 12.2 million people. That's a lot of gamers, and £2 billion is a lot of money.
I think it rolls on really from the court cases that we've had with like Apple and Google, where brands have created these devices. So Xbox have created the Xbox Store, PlayStation's created PlayStation Store, Apple's created the Apple Store, and so on and so forth. But then, I started seeing as charges being passed on. For instance, it's got on here, developers were being charged 30% commission to sell their apps on the App Store, which the lawsuit argues meant that customers or clients had the subsequential charges passed on. And I've seen in some places, and I think some podcasts have gone like, if you do your Patreon payment through Apple, let's say it's $15 or £15, but if you do it straight on Patreon, it's $10 or £10. So they're almost saying, look, we've got to pass this on because we can't handle the 30% charge. In the same way that in my day job, I won't, if I charge a client for a TV, let's say, I cannot take a credit card for it. And I remember Anthony wanting to buy another TV from me, and he said to me, "Can I chuck it on the credit card?" And I'm like, "No." I said, because I make about 2% on this TV, and I probably pay about 5% on a credit card charge. So
Mm.
I will be losing on that
Yeah.
TV. I think it is going to be one of those ones where I think you're going to start to see a lot of these platforms opened up a bit. Maybe, they've got to have brand continuity between an RRP on Amazon and PlayStation. But yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be an interesting one to see, because it is a UK based lawsuit, which is quite rare.
Mm.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially if they are found guilty, and that's anybody is found guilty to overcharge clients to keep them staying on their platform. That's just wrong. I
Yeah.
go to Amazon. You went to CEX to buy a secondhand game. I'll go to Amazon to pick up a game, or which is a few years old. But yeah, I think I'm right in thinking it's the same with Xbox. The Dead Space game, the Dead Space remake that I didn't complete before it came off Game Pass. I think if I wanted to buy it on Game Pass, let's just say, for argument's sake, it was £40. I bought it on Amazon for £20. Now, okay, I can get that, but if Amazon are charging £20 because it's an old game, then Xbox or PlayStation should be charging £20 because it's an old game.
Mm.
No, it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see, but I do think it's a way we're heading with a lot of this. I think we're going to start seeing a lot of this being cut down.
Yeah, 100%. And I do get it to a certain extent. It's like, surely the digital version should be cheaper than the physical one. If I go to a shop and buy it, it's 60 quid. Even if it's 50 quid, tenner, it should be cheaper buying it digitally, because there's no disc, there's no box, there's no middleman. There's no way it should cost me more to come to Sony and buy it direct than going, like, say, to Amazon, to whomever, Asda, Tesco, even a supermarket. The supermarket sometimes slash their prices loss leaders, which, if we want to do that, fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But why should, if I don't physically have something, why should I pay more for that than when it's in my hand? What? How is that a thing? And it's hard, isn't it? It's who regulates it, because it's almost like, I guess, in, like, a second-hand car, it's almost like a self-regulated market, isn't it? The value is the value. It's based on the market and all sorts of, other variables. But whatever computer exchange value it at, or whomever, they charge this, they charge that, When it's new, I suppose it's easier. If it's second-hand, it's a bit more tricky. But like you say, if it's cheaper on Amazon, well, why is it cheaper on Amazon? Why are they charging less? Where does that cheaper price come from? Because it's not like it can be sourced cheaper anywhere else necessarily. But yeah, I do get it from a case of digital versus physical, because 100% the digital version should always be cheaper than the physical version. There's no justification for that in my mind, ever.
And you touched on it there also. It's almost like there was a few times there years ago where I think we discussed on the pod about, surely they've got to come up with some way to do a digital trade-in or a digital pass-on. So,
Yeah.
I buy Planet of Lana 2. It's not on Game Pass. I gift it to you to play. Maybe you can only gift that game once, but of course they're going to look at it and go, well, we're not earning money out of that gifting, or we're not earning any money out of that, digital, trade-in. Because, yeah, you are buying a game, you're buying a, Forza Horizon 6 premium pack is well over £100, well over $100. And once you've played it, that's it. Okay, I will argue the fact that it's worth that, because I really enjoy that game and I rinse that game. Plus, I get it on Game Pass. I just buy the upgrade. But if you're buying it outright, surely you should have the ability to be able to gift it to a cousin or a nephew, or put it onto your, my daughter's Xbox or something like that for her to play just once. But again, whether that will ever happen, we don't know.
Yeah, that's it, innit? And I don't want to go sort of like 22, 23 on it, but like, when you go like NFTs and stuff, you buy something that it's not, you don't physically own it, but it has a value. Well, I've got something that's not physical, but it has a value, it has a worth. Like, say, even if that is, you gift it, or I can sell it to somebody for 20 quid, it's worth 60 quid. I'm going to sell it to so and so for 20 quid. Well, it has a value. Do you know what I mean? It has a worth. It has some sort of, in the grander scheme of things, a material value. Well, why should you lose out on it? You know, why should I not have something back? You know, or like you say, just say, well, I've done with this. I'll put it towards that next one, and it's it's whatever it's worth. It knocks the price off. Surely that incentivizes people to come into the ecosystem more by doing that. At least it's got some sort of value. You know, like trading in a physical copy, it has some sort of worth. Surely.
Well, I think it could bring people into the brand like Game Pass does. So, let's say for argument's sake, I buy Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and we have a conversation on a podcast, and you're like, you know what, I never played that, so I gift it onto you, or I sell it onto you for, 20 pounds, but you like it so much that when Shadows comes out, or when Mirage comes out, that you jump straight in and buy that at full price because you enjoyed Valhalla so much, you now want to buy the next one day and date, so you're buying into the brand. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but yeah. But right, that's it. I mean, we knew it was going to be long. We're an hour and 27 minutes on the ticker in front of me here. So, is there anything else you want to touch on, or?
I think that's good, mate. I think it's good. I think we'll try and make it an hour at some point. We will achieve it. We'll do it eventually.
Well, let's put it this way: we picked this up on 177 episodes, and I don't think the 176 below that. I think we ever did it in less than an hour. So
it's never going to happen, is it? It's never going to happen.
We'll get there. Don't worry. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. Don't forget to keep up to date with us on all social media at Lost Spark Podcast. For some reason, I got that wrong last time. I don't know whether it was Google Docs, but actually we are at Lost Spark Podcast on pretty much everything, not Lost Spark Pod for some reason. I think it just deleted the last bit, the cast bit.
So everyone's going to listen to a different podcast now.
Exactly.
Follow a different podcast.
They might see someone much more attractive than us too. So on socials, on YouTube, Lost Spark Podcast. On YouTube, you can go back and watch the older episodes of the podcast if you want, and pick up with us talking about cutting-edge games like Star Wars and Grand Theft Autos from back in the days. So, Steve, where can we find you on Xbox and social media?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much SteakCarter91 everywhere. So that's Xbox, PlayStation, YouTube, and Instagram. So so if you search SteakCarter91, you'll find me somewhere.
You've got brand continuity there.
Yeah, streamlined now. Efficiency.
The easiest place to find me is on social media at Mr. Stuart Burgess. And of course, again, you can comment on the YouTube video or leave us a feedback on the podcast or review on the podcast. But yeah, that's it for, I can't remember what episode it is, episode 178. And we'll see you again in a couple of weeks for episode 179. Thank you for your time, Steve, and we'll catch up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, thank you, mate, and thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Awesome. Cheers, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.